What's up guys, my name is Aaron, or XrayCosmo, and welcome back to another Overwatch video. Today we have some Overwatch 2 news from the new Overwatch community manager, Andy B. This post here is going to be basically how tanks are going to change completely in Overwatch 2 and be a whole new thing, and I'm here to shorten it for you so you don't have to read. But before I start, I would appreciate if you subscribe to help out a small channel like me, and also leave a like so more people can see my video. Finally, we have more words from the dev team for Overwatch 2. We don't really get much of these, so it is pretty hype. The post starts off with how the tank role are going to change or be changing to something completely different in Overwatch 2, and he starts it off with this. Tanks in Overwatch 2 remain both disruptive, line breakers, and push leading protectors. Changing from 2 tanks to 1 creates a new dynamic, where each player, including damage and supports, need to be more careful about the way they position themselves. Flanking potentially becomes more potent as a strategy, and because teams aren't relying on holding the high ground due to the defensive capabilities of multiple tanks, maps are being used to their fullest, which has resulted in some fun playtests. In my opinion, this is pretty good because in this part they're basically saying that flanking and that aggressive playstyle is going to be a big part of Overwatch 2, and I don't know about you guys, but when I'm playing tank, I don't like just holding right click on Ryan and holding shield and playing all defensive and boring. I like to get in the action, and another part of this is that they're saying we won't really have these standstill CC locks double shield, but they go more into that later, so I'll save that for that. He then goes on to say tanks will still be the unquestioned authority on blocking damage, however they won't be simultaneously contending with the opposing tank, blocking nearly all incoming damage for their team. Changing to a single tank means that they will be tuned to be slightly tougher on the individual level. Tanks with overwhelming team defensive capabilities like Reinhardt will have their group protections reduced, while their damage and utility will be improved. So this here is another part of this post that goes into how tanks are going to be changed into more offensive brawlers who will really just go in, make space. Ryan in his case will swing his hammer and just, well, brawl. So he mentions Reinhardt here, and we obviously know some of his changes like the 2 fire strikes and the charge being able to cancel, and this part of the post also goes into how it will really be a more individualistic experience when it comes to tank v tank, because they won't be in that tank role when the entire team relies on them contesting the other tank. Whoa, that's a lot of tanks in one sentence. I'm hoping you guys got that though. But yeah, hopefully we see tanks turn into this more brawler style like we've been seeing with the newer tanks like Ball. I consider Ball a brawl tank, and like even Diva maybe, but even though she's still on the defensive side, I think she would be a good brawler if you just learn how to play her in the correct way. So then he then goes on to say, to address the pressure that a single tank position can be put in an individual player, there is an assumption that if the tank dies, the fight is over. Realistically speaking, any player dying in a 5v5 scenario can mean a team fight loss for their team, so everyone is going to have a bit more pressure put on their individual performance. That said, tanks not being responsible for mitigating overwhelming damage for the entire team removes some pressure for the role. This also opens an avenue for them to focus more on getting in the opposing team's face and pressuring with damage and disrupting enemy lines. In our own playtest, we have observed an interesting dynamic where tanks are not usually the first to die. Support is better able to maintain their frontline, creating a scenario where healing is more focused since it's not trying to split to keep multiple tanks alive. This once again goes into that brawler part, showing how there won't be as much pressure on the tank, but just as much pressure on the DPS and supports, and we see the supports being able to keep up that one tank longer, and they do say tanks are usually not the first to die, so this in my opinion is a good change where anyone dying has as much as an impact as a current live Overwatch 1 tank has. So seeing that individualistic like playstyle as we mentioned before is super good for the game. I think it's going to make the game's play a lot more fun and a lot more satisfying. But now here we are getting into double shield. They go on to say double barrier team comps is another area directly impacted by this change in Overwatch 2. There is a maximum of 1 shield tank per team, which leads to changes in how we tune and adjust the total uptime for these barriers. This comes in form of lowering their health, increasing their cooldowns, or lowering their durations. We want barriers to feel impactful, a little bit less oppressive across the entire game. Now, I read this and I've decided this is my favorite change out of everything for the Overwatch 2 tanks, because let me say it once and once only, fuck double shield. There is nothing more boring than that shit, seriously. Who actually likes double shield? No one likes just shooting into a shield the whole entire game. I want to get kills, I want to have fun, and there's, like I said, this is pretty self-explanatory. We are seeing once again more offensive, aggressive changes, making them pretty much just, in my opinion, big DPS, but that's what a brawler is. It seems like a lot of fun. Now, next is going to be about specific heroes in that tank role. Tanks rooted in mobility, such as D.Va, Wrecking Ball, and Winston, will see their utility improved, gaining additional defense-stopping power, and in some cases, more freedom to flex between having an offensive impact and being a defensive bulwark for their team. Now, like I said before, I know I've been talking about a lot about offensive play, but obviously we're not removing defensive play completely from the game. Like the Rhine changes, we know one of these two, the Winston changes, he has a new ability in which he can shoot a pulse of electricity from a distance, giving him his first ranged attack that can finish off kills and that are trying to run away. And this is one of those abilities that doesn't seem OP, and it just really has a feel-good type of feeling, and I think that type of feeling is something tanks need a lot. Overwatch in general just needs to cut down on the OP stun flashbang and go into the more skill shot era type of things like this new Winston ability, or if it's gonna be a stun, make it something like Sleep Dart where it's a skill shot and it doesn't just feel like complete cheese. We don't know D.Va or Wrecking Ball's abilities, but D.Va did get some changes to DM. I think she got it a little bit longer, but we're seeing these changes like literally migrate their way into live Overwatch before Overwatch 2. In my opinion, I think this is happening because they're getting ready for the new game. I knew it was sooner than we thought when they made that announcement the other day, but really, like, we see things with like the Hog changes as well. We're just getting these changes early and it's sweeping under everyone's eyes, but that's a completely different thing to talk about. And the post ends off with one last remark about this whole thing, saying, I do understand that some of us have very strong feelings about changing to a single tank, and it's going to take more than a response like this to fully convince you that this is the net positive change. To be completely candid, I understand that you need to get your hands on the game and experience it for yourself to fully form an opinion. As someone who was an OW fan and a player before I ever even joined the team, I have a huge amount of empathy for folks who are frustrated waiting for Overwatch 2. Speaking as someone who plays retail comp nightly and playtests 2 almost daily, it's difficult to envision what the experience is actually like until you've been in the environment and played several matches. I sincerely do not mean this in a gatekeepy or we know better than you tone, but more to create an understanding that we get your sentiment and understand where your feedback is coming from. Which makes total sense. We can have our imaginative opinions on Overwatch 2, but we really won't know what 5v5 is like or these new changes are like until we really get into it, get our hands on it, and play them. So that's my stance on it. I personally think this is going to be a great change. All these tank brawler changes, I think more power to the individual player is a huge thing Overwatch needs to focus on, especially in the new game. But like I said, we will only know when we play, but this whole thing is good. It shows that the devs and the community, like, people actually know we're here and they want to communicate with us. So these communications posts are really, really huge for us Overwatch players, and us getting them more and more often. I really hope we see something like that because it would be great for the community. What do you guys think about these little posts from the devs? Let me know in the comments below your opinions on these new brawler style tanks. If you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a like, it helps the channel out a lot. And if you want more gaming content and news, hit that subscribe button and that bell so you can see all my videos when they first come out. Also, if you want a shout out at the end of the video, leave a comment and you can get picked for that. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.